President Trump just used his first veto of his current term to kill a funding project for drinking water in Colorado. The bill passed Congress with unanimous bipartisan support. This veto comes as Trump has promised retaliation against Colorado for keeping his ally Tina Peters in prison for her scheme to tamper with voting systems. Trump's recently denied disaster funding to Colorado and is breaking up the NCAR Science Lab in Boulder. This pipeline project is in the district of Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who recently stood up to Trump to force the release of the government files on the infamous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Trump is now killing the bill to finish the Arkansas Valley Conduit, a decades-long project to bring safe drinking water to 39 communities on the eastern plains between Pueblo and Lamar. The groundwater there is high in salt, and wells sometimes unleash radioactivity into the water supply. This project was first approved by Congress in 1962. In recent years, the cost estimate nearly doubled. Trump's veto message called it a taxpayer handout, suggested it should be paid for locally. Colorado's Democratic senators have chipped away at the funding gap on this project for more than a decade, and Republican Congresswoman Boebert sponsored the House version of the bill to get it across the finish line. She told me tonight she hopes that this veto is not political retribution.
It does make you wonder, and I hope that's not the case. I've been told by the White House this is not retribution, but when it's the first of two bills that have been vetoed in this administration in just the first year of this administration, it kind of makes you want to step back and say, well, what's really going on here? But regardless, I was elected to serve Colorado's 4th District. This project stretches beyond the 4th District to constituents that I have served in the past and will continue to serve. And I will ensure that they get this access that they so desperately are needing.
The Senate and the House sent this bill to President Trump by voice vote, which suggests there could be wide margins to overturn the president's veto, but only if Republican leaders in the House and Senate will allow an override vote. Boebert said that she's already been in touch with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to figure out ways to pass this funding bill, either through a veto override or by rolling it into other legislation. It does not matter how many warnings go out about driving drunk. We know that there will be Coloradans who make that choice. Hopefully they don't kill anybody this New Year's, and they'll have to live with the consequences. Our Mark Salinger looks at a new approach to prevent someone caught drunk driving once from doing it again.
7 years ago last week, I-70 was shut down near Evergreen on Christmas Eve for a crash that killed 2 people.
A drunken high driver lost control of her truck and drove across 3 lanes of traffic, went over the median, and then struck my wife's car.
Brett Shaw lost his wife Sancy that night. His daughter was also seriously injured. It wasn't the first time the woman who crashed into them was driving drunk.
This was her 5th DUI. That just blows my mind.
Yet she was still on the road. Now Brett is trying to stop that from happening ever again.
If you can connect with people on a personal level, it becomes real to them. It becomes something that they will remember.
When someone gets a DUI now, a judge can require them to attend a victim impact panel, where court dates, fines, and even jail time fall short. The panel hopes to change people on an emotional level.
The goal is obviously to stop a family like the Shaws from having to go through this horrific pain and loss.
Sergeant John Ziade with the Colorado State Patrol responded to the crash in 2018.
On Christmas morning, they had to find out that their mother was no longer with them.
Almost a decade later, he sits on the panel with Brett.
Yeah, and that was pretty tough for him to be able to talk about it and be willing to do these types of things is a tremendous strength.
And it gives them an opportunity to really hear from the victims and survivors what that experience looks like.
The panel is organized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Rebecca Green is the director.
I think when you hear MAD, you assume that you're going to get yelled at for 2 hours when you come to these panels, and that's the opposite of what's happening.
Colorado's drunk driving deaths are stubbornly high, but maybe something as simple as hearing a story, Brett's story, can help save a life.
This is something that I can do to honor Sancy, and something I think that it could be positive that can come from this tragedy.
The victim impact panels are usually court ordered by a judge as part of the process that someone has to complete when they get a DUI. But they're also seeing families reach out to them asking if their son or daughter or loved one can participate, knowing that they have a problem. Those families are hoping hearing from someone like Brett can stop a DUI or something even worse from happening.
Rideshare, public transit, it's never been easier to avoid drunk driving, yet Colorado's numbers are not going in the right direction.
They're stubbornly high. They maintain, even with all the money that's being poured in, they're still high, hard to bring down.
All right, Mark Salinger, thank you. Thousands of Coloradans are expecting a big spike in their health insurance premiums in the new year. When the enhanced premium tax credit expires tomorrow, some people see premiums double. The state's Division of Insurance estimates 200,000 Coloradans will be impacted by the expiration of that federal tax credit. The temporary tax credit was part of the Affordable Care Act. It subsidizes plans for people who get coverage through the individual marketplace rather than through their work. Extending the tax credit was a major sticking point in Congress this year. Remember the government shutdown? Republicans did not want an extension of the tax credit. Democrats held out for it, didn't get it. We spoke to a Coloradan named Chelsea Baker Hauk, whose monthly premiums are going to go from $238 to $470 a month.
The bottom line is that I'm paying twice what I was paying last year for health insurance. It's painful. Really the only way to pay for it is to take money out of the food budget for our household.
The Colorado Consumer Health Initiative estimates 75,000 Coloradans could be priced out of health insurance without that tax credit. For a decade in Denver, survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence have found comfort and hope and skilled advocacy at the Rose Andom Center. But they've had to go elsewhere for the often difficult physical exams that allow those survivors to bring their perpetrator to justice. That is a problem that we can help fix. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign will help to bring sane exams to the nonprofit Rose Andom Center. Now, the whole idea of Rose Andom is that it can be a single clearinghouse of support and resources for survivors, and that helps to limit trauma. But then to get those exams from a specially trained nurse, those survivors had to go elsewhere. Leaders at Rose Andom tell me that there are limited places in town right now where survivors can go for a sane exam. Rose Andom Center has the clinic space on site. They have the medical provider lined up. They just told me they need the funding. Well, fortunately, I know the most generous group of Coloradans around. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to donate. You have proven how even $5 helps, because 5 years of pooling your $5 donations has raised $17 million for nonprofits in this state. You know I'm never going to ask you to give if I don't, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. 7,000 of you have now signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You've put in your info once, and each month your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature. In November, your generosity through monthly giving was astonishing. It added $50,000 a week. If you have hiked in the foothills, there is a good chance you have experienced the life's work of a Coloradan whose life we remember tonight.
He's a man that really loves the land.
His family will literally walk us through his legacy next. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen, may we have a little winter as a treat?
You know, I would love to. We've got a little problem, though. Winter hyperextended its knee, and it's going to be out another 4 weeks. This is rough, Kyle. I mean, no joker, no winter. This is kind of rough on me. I'm going to have to probably do some therapy golf tomorrow in shorts, which I've been doing a lot this winter. Now, here's the storm track. This is a typical, or what I call a classic La Nina pattern. High pressure out here, storm track going up and above that high pressure, and continuing to deliver really nice big storms to the Great Lakes region. We stay warm and dry under that big ridge of high pressure. And this is the temperatures that will result once again tomorrow. 50 degrees up in Summit County, 48 Frisco, 61 in Denver. That's golf weather right there. And then in the evening, when we drop the ball on 2025 and bring in 2026, it'll still be relatively mild at midnight. 39 degrees. We could probably celebrate outdoors if we wanted to. And that last warm day is going to lock us into the second warmest December in history here in Denver. Just 1 degree away from 1933. history. The 1930s, really warm and dry weather resulting in the Dust Bowl era. You may have heard of that. Kind of a daunting comparison, but that's kind of where we're at with this warm, dry pattern that really continues. We've got a shot at some clouds on Thursday with just a slight chance of sprinkles.
Summit County revolves around the ski industry. That does not mean that everyone in that area has access to the slopes. Tonight, we return to one of our favorite stories of the year, as Mark Salinger and photojournalist Mike Grady explore an effort to make skiing more accessible to the people who keep mountain towns running.
The hardest part of skiing can be just making it to the mountain. Monica Posada never thought days like this at Arapahoe Basin were for her. She's finally achieving her dream after living in Summit County for 5 years.
Yo sí había querido antes, siempre me ha llamado la atención, pero nunca había encontrado quien me enseñara. Y más que todo en español.
Okay, chicas, vamos a empezar.
Javier Pineda's goal is getting Monica on the hill and down it.
Eso.
Javier!
Inclínate más.
Helping her through the full skiing experience.
Eso. Es lo que te estaba diciendo.
Mi primera caída.
His lessons are in Spanish because he understands language can be a hurdle to getting on the slopes.
By adding that language into the mix of learning, it just makes it more welcoming. It also makes it more like home. We joke around more organically in that sense. Porque esto nomás va a hacer que no hacer nada.
Javier started Oso Outdoors to eliminate barriers.
Perfecto. Vamos.
The program has given free gear, classes, and passes to more than 250 people like Monica who work in the area but have never had the opportunity to ski.
No hice lo del pie.
No, está bien.
Conozco de toda mi comunidad, de las personas más allegadas a mí, solamente 3 personas lo hacen.
Even though we live in an amazing place like Summit County, people from my community, specifically our Latino immigrant communities, does not mean they have little access to the mountain. Pero el secreto es una presión muy pequeñita.
His directions transcend languages.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Monica and the rest of the class work in hospitality. Their community relies on people like them to thrive. But that doesn't mean they've always had the opportunity.
Hello, how are you?
To be a part of the industry they serve.
How many?
8 total.
8?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead this table.
At Fringata's restaurant in Silverthorne, Monica sees the visitors every day.
Viene mucho turista, sobre todo en la época tanto de invierno como de verano.
The restaurant gets a lot of ski traffic.
House Margarita.
Yet most of the employees have never been on the mountain.
No sabe esquiar. Es mucha la gente, por lo que pues es difícil acceder a ello para nosotros.
Monica came to Summit County from Colombia to work and create a new future for her family.
Enjoy.
Now that future includes being a part of the ski culture here.
Pasamos aquí. La silla nos va a pegar, ¿ok?
Okay.
Every dream starts somewhere.
Se va a sentir que la silla baja velocidad.
Sí.
The hard work is just beginning.
Okay.
With Monica's first time on a chairlift.
Y de aquí nos paramos hacia enfrente.
And her first time bombing down a mountain she thought would never be open to her.
Me desestresa, no pienso en otras cosas. Me libero mucho de todas mis cargas emocionales y del otro. Y cuando estoy aquí, como que mi mente se despeja y ay, pensé que me iba a matar, Javier. Pensé que me iba a matar.
Okay.
Qué adrenalina.
Javier shows Monica how important it is to keep going. Because these mountains belong to everyone.
I just got tired of seeing the same type of people on the mountain. And I think bringing a different face to the mountain is very crucial. Oh, it's good.
Es un privilegio estar aquí aprendiendo y sobre todo en español.
Buen trabajo.
This ski season, that program will teach kids for the first time as well. We remember a Coloradan who shaped our outdoors. Next. If you have ever been to Evergreen, you've probably seen his last name. Visionary community leader who loved those mountains. Our Byron Reed remembers Hank Elderfer.
Every name carries a legacy.
He's a man that really loves the land.
It's a lineage Barbie and Nathan Oliver are happy will continue.
It was a sacred place to him, and it was something that he could share with others.
It's a beautiful thing that took a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work.
In the mid-1980s, Barbie's husband Hank sold his family ranch to Jefferson County Open Space.
This was 265 acres with a lease of Evergreen Mountain.
That's now part of the Alderfer Three Sisters Park in Evergreen.
He didn't want to see it become a subdivision. He wanted to see if open space could use it.
His son Nathan says his dad wanted the acres to remain undeveloped to make sure everyone had access to the land he grew up on.
This land was sacred to him. He felt like he was a steward of this land, and to responsibly pass it on without ruining it.
Hank helped develop parks known for their extensive trails and beautiful views, along with well-known civic landmarks. He was even inducted into Jefferson County's Hall of Fame.
He helped start the Mountain Area Land Trust, which helps hold valuable views in the area.
There's the Lake House, there's the Buchanan Rec Center, and there's the Wolf Rec Center. And there's many other properties that they're managing now too. And he built it up from a little tiny thing into a big community resource.
In 2002, Hank developed Parkinson's disease. 2.5 weeks ago, the 78-year-old visionary passed away.
He died in his bed, and he was comfortable, and he had gone down to where he couldn't stand up, and he couldn't eat, and he wasn't drinking.
His family now hopes the parks will continue bringing joy to its visitors, from a person who wanted to share his legacy with everyone.
For people I don't even know to be able to come and enjoy this property, that's important to me too.
For next.
Because sharing the property was part of our life, and it has been able to continue.
I'm Byron Reed.
Hank's life will be celebrated this Saturday, 2 to 6 in the afternoon at the Evergreen Lake House, which he helped to build. We just got word into our newsroom that former Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell has died. He's a nationally known leader on tribal issues for decades. Nighthorse Campbell represented the western part of Colorado, first in the state legislature, then the U.S. House, before he was elected to the Senate in 1991, where he served 2 terms. He changed his party registration from Republican to Democrat during that time. He was instrumental in the creation of 2 national parks in Colorado, Black Canyon and the Gunnison, and the Great Sand Dunes, and also worked on the Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. Ben Nighthorse Campbell was 92 years old. Back with your feedback next. The nonprofit Rose Andom Center in Denver is a one-stop resource for survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence in our community, a place where they find care and advocacy and comfort. But there is one key service for survivors that is not offered there: the SANE exams that allow the preservation of evidence to prosecute perpetrators of violence. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign will provide the funding to allow Rose Andom to add that service so that survivors don't have to travel across town to a hospital or another medical center to get that exam. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in giving to Rose Andom. Want to correct, I misspoke a moment ago in speaking about the late Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell. He changed his party registration from Democrat to Republican. I flipped those 2. My apologies. A text that says, "With the beard, you look like the comedian Red Skelton." Oh, I should get a better jacket on for that.